Welcome to Mama Mabel's Caregivers podcast, a space where we have honest conversations about caregiving support and what it really means to show up for the people we love without losing ourselves in the process. Today's episode is titled The Moment Caregivers Realize They Need Help. If you're caring for an aging parent or a loved one with dementia, you may have felt it. That quiet moment when love is still strong, but the weight of responsibility starts to feel overwhelming. The question then becomes, how do I know when it's time to ask for help? Today, we're joined by Wendy Adlerstein, LSW, a licensed social worker, certified dementia practitioner, and executive director and co-owner of FirstLight Home Care of West Suburban, Boston. With nearly 30 years of experience in elder care, Wendy brings a calm, grounded perspective to one of the most difficult decisions caregivers face. She works closely with families navigating caregiver burnout, dementia care, and the emotional challenge of bringing in support, helping them move from uncertainty to clarity with compassion and confidence. If you've been wondering whether you can keep doing this on your own, this conversation will meet you right where you are. Let's get into it. Welcome, Miss Wendy Adlerstein. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you on this rare sunny day right now?
I'm doing well. And I'm happy that the sun is finally out. Grateful that you have agreed to come on and be a guest on Mama Mabel's Caregivers podcast. I sincerely appreciate you, and I know that the podcast family will sincerely appreciate this conversation that we're having. So, today, podcast family, we're going to have another dynamic conversation. And the topic of today's episode is entitled The Moment Caregivers Realize They Need Help. So, with that said, we're going to get right into it. So, please, Miss Wendy, tell me about yourself.
Sure, thank you. I have been working in the field of aging and care for seniors for practically 30 years now. It all started back actually when I was in college, and I was able to go for a certificate in gerontology alongside my degree in psychology, where I could really study what aging was all about and have the opportunity to also do internships in the area. I was able to work at a nursing home, following a social worker at that time. I was in an assisted living with activities directors and taking lots of classes in the field of aging. And I really just enjoyed working with the population, knowing that it's such a special, unique time in life, and also working with families and seeing what happens when you're a family caregiver. From there, I started my career in a nonprofit home care agency in Massachusetts and really dove right in with case management, learning about protective services, family programs that support caregivers in the community. And then went through that for many years at a great agency. And then about 10 years ago, I started up a company, a private home care agency with my business partner, Steve, where we now provide caregivers, paid caregivers, CNAs, home health aides, companions to people who need help in their homes and or one-on-one care in facilities to provide that extra one-on-one help. And I work with a lot of families who are their family caregivers caring for their loved ones. And part of my role is helping guide and be a resource to family members who are caring for their loved ones, as well as providing the professional caregivers that we do. So that's a little bit about my background and how I got here.
That's awesome. So, thinking about just all of the experience that you have in this field of just caregiving across the board, what specifically led you to create your own business focusing on caregiving?
Yeah, after being with so many families over the years in different scenarios, different settings, and just seeing what it takes to be a family caregiver of somebody who depends on you, And working with those people, it's just so rewarding for me personally to be able to provide a service that can give family caregivers some breaks and some peace of mind, that it doesn't have to all fall on the family members or the friends, that it can be, there are other options and we can provide that. And that's really rewarding because the relief that it gives to those people is great to see. So it's just rewarding all around.
So you mentioned that there was a time where you were working in the field and you were encountering a lot of families that had various needs centered around caregiving. And it was as if they weren't getting everything that they needed, and there was a better way to go about it. Are there any stories that really resonate with you that you could share around that?
Sure. One family comes to mind. It was a husband and wife situation. We see a lot of this, where the husband, the husband and wife, they're not aging at the same rate. They're not. And so the husband was having quite a bit of medical challenges along the way. And the wife had been really caring for him all by herself for what I think was going on for 10 years, on and on, with hospitalizations and in and out of doctor's appointments, and caring for him at home, and then rehabs and back and forth as he was declining. And when I met her, she was well into all these years of caregiving, and it really was just became her identity and who she was. Her stories were all focused around his illness and the timeline. She knew every single date practically of every hospitalization and every diagnosis and everything that was going on. And it was just so clear that it really was just became who she was. And she was at a point where she was starting at that point to think about maybe a little bit of help. But that's an example and a story of the kinds of things that we see, that I see.
As it pertains to your company now and the services that you offer, what type of illnesses and scenarios do you cover?
So our agency really helps people, anyone over the age of 18. So it really can vary. The majority of our clients are seniors, and most are typically in their late 70s, 80s, 90s, and we even have people over 100. But we also can help, and we do help some younger folks, maybe people either who came out of a surgery or have some type of disability or illness where they need help and they're younger. So anybody in those scenarios are the people that we help. And we're providing caregivers, so CNAs, certified nursing assistants, home health aides, people who are trained to do all kinds of care, personal care, with help with bathing, dressing, help in the bathroom, also meal preparation, maybe some errands, laundry, changing bed linens, anything that can help somebody really remain independent and safe.
Okay, so you offer some of the same services that a hospice, for an example, would offer,
So,
correct?
yes, although a little bit different, our services are, because we're primarily all private pay or long-term care insurance, we offer some supportive services that might be longer in terms of shift time that somebody is with the person. When you bring in a hospice agency, sometimes they have service that can come in. They'll send a nurse for an hour, depending on how many days a week is needed. Or maybe they send in a home health aide, but it's very periodic. So it could be like an hour once a day or an hour twice a week, depending. So we can do longer. We have people who do overnight shifts, somebody who's getting up throughout the night and they need somebody to help them safely get to and from the bathroom. We do day shifts with full safety supervision, anything, bed care, whatever it may be. Or we can do 5 hours a day. So it's a little bit more tailored to what people need.
You just answered my next question because I was going to ask if it's specifically tailored around the specific needs of the family or the individual that needs help. So let's talk about that process. How does that work?
Yeah. So in our situation, my background is social work. I do have a license, and I would go out and meet the family to do a visit and really talk with the family and the person who needs the help and figure out what the needs are, what the best schedule would be. Well, sometimes people just need a little help in the mornings. So getting up and dressed and cleaned up and breakfast, that whole morning routine, or maybe it's the bedtime routine. But some people can't be left alone at all. If they have dementia or other issues that are safety issues, like balance and frequent falling, then we can do a full day of somebody there. So all of that is talked about in the initial conversations to figure out what makes the most sense.
I love that. That's great. You've been around for 10 years and you're located in the Boston area.
We are. We're right outside of Boston in the West Suburban Boston area. We do cover downtown Boston as well. And we're actually part of a franchise. So there are other FirstLight home cares in the country, but I specifically am the owner with Steve for our office here in Needham, Massachusetts.
That's awesome. A podcast family, that's great to hear. If you are in the Boston area, please check out this facility for your loved one if you need help, because this is a place that can help you. And also, to Wendy's point, because it is a franchise, that means that there are other locations throughout the US that will also offer the same type of services. So that's really great to hear. As it pertains to, let's say, someone with a loved one that has dementia, you mentioned that the process is different in terms of the care plan that you have for that individual. My question is, how does that, or do you have specifically staff that's trained for that? Do you have a special set of staff for, let's say, the dementia clients?
Yeah, well, we are particular in who we hire. Our caregivers typically come with a lot of experience. Not only are they certified nursing assistants or trained home health aides, but they do come with background quite often from working at like a memory care or assisted living or even a skilled rehab. But we also, as an agency, do provide training, dementia care training, and we do also do on site help in the home. So if somebody needs a little support, we have somebody who actually goes out and does that and can really help to make sure that everybody's doing it well and the care is being provided the way it should be.
I know you said that you take care of older clients, but you also mentioned that you have younger clients as well. Are there any stories that you can share that was very touching and really resonated?
Yeah, we had a younger person who she had some kind of a like a developmental disability, and that she'd had her whole life. And she was from out of town. She was living in another state with her father, I believe. And she came to our area to spend some time with her brother who lives here. And he worked and he needed somebody to care for her while she was visiting with him, spend time with her, help make meals, provide some companionship, maybe a little bit of assistance in the bathroom, or just be there so that she wasn't alone during the days. So we were able to really put people in that connected with her and were able to help her and also give him peace of mind that someone was with her. And she was with him for a few months. Maybe it was a summer visit or something. So it really helped them out a lot.
That's great to hear. Thinking about caregivers, being in that role, we often take, and I speak for not only myself, but I'm sure others, when I was a caregiver, we often take on the role of caregiving alone. And to your point, it becomes our everything, it becomes our life story. Thinking about just even the title of today's episode, realizing as a caregiver that you need help, what are some of the signs that you can share with the podcast family to provide them with an idea of when they should begin to consider bringing in help, such as your services you provide?
It's a great question. And there are many things to be aware of when you're a family caregiver. First and foremost, it's always important just to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And that can look different in many ways, but even the smallest things are a good start. You want to make sure that you're taking breaks, just finding somebody to come in so that you can walk away from the situation, even if it's for a couple of hours, as much as possible. That's a basic kind of a thing. But I think that there are bigger issues that really can happen. One is isolation. If you start to feel like you're becoming isolated because you're caring for somebody, you start to turn down social invitations, you don't go out as much. You really, that can affect your, not only your mental health, but also your physical health. So isolation is huge. Also, making sure you're keeping up with your own personal business, like paying your own bills and keeping up with all the things that keep your own orbit of life going so that you don't fall behind. Because we all know if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of somebody else. You have to be in a strong, stable place to maintain that caregiving role. Just again, like exhaustion. I think if you're starting to feel constant exhaustion, that's a sign of maybe looking, starting to look for that you should start to look for some help and relief to get your own rest and try to, again, take care of yourself. Feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious, those things sometimes are signs that maybe it's a good time to get support. Sleep issues, not being able to sleep well, all of this, there are pieces that could be all or nothing. Just some of these could be just little signs to look out for. Again, really trying to just make sure that you're doing what you can to take care of yourself and also maintaining your own personal health, getting to your own doctor's appointments. It's very common that people will neglect their own doctor's appointments when they're managing somebody else's. They put themselves on the back burner. And again, with all the stress there's involved taking care of somebody, it's so important to also take care of your own health. So these are some signs to just be aware of when you are caring for someone and know that these could be signals to make sure you're getting the support you need and the help.
Okay, so podcast family, Wendy has stated if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you are having a hard time sleeping, you're not able to rest well, those are signs that you need help and it's okay. Also, you mentioned being able to have time to take care of yourself at the same time that you're taking care of your loved one. And often, as a caregiver, that's something that we neglect. So it's very important. And I talk about it on almost every episode. Self care is very important. If you find that you are at a place where you do not have time for self care whatsoever, then that is a sign that you may need some help. And it's okay to bring in help, to know that you're not alone and that there are resources that are out here. So please, Wendy, tell me more about your business again. Share the name of it, and the areas that you service, and how they can reach you.
Yeah, thank you. We're FirstLight Home Care of West Suburban Boston. We're in Needham, Massachusetts, and we cover the West Suburban Boston area and Boston surrounding the city itself. And we provide private, it's called non-medical home care. So it's really caregivers who can come into the house and provide the care, provide some respite. People that we vet, they're vetted, they're employees of ours, so they've been screened and in every way, and we oversee them and the care that they provide so that somebody who needs to take a break or feels that the care is beyond the scope of what they can do, a professional caregiver can actually come in and help out and give that break that many people sorely need. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Now, do you accept insurance?
So there's an insurance called long-term care insurance, which some people have, some people don't. It's a private insurance that some people bought at some point in their lifetime and pay for it over the years, and that does cover home care like ours.
That's great to know. That's the first time I've heard of it. So, podcast family, make sure that you look into long term care insurance because this is a benefit that can also help with your loved one during the later stages in life and or if anything happens to your loved one during their lifetime in which they will need this type of care. That's great.
Yeah, it's a good resource to know about and to explore. It's like any insurance. You buy it like car insurance. You get it and you hope you never need it, but you're glad you have it when you do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Podcast family, all of the information that Miss Wendy has shared will be in the description of this episode, including her website. And I highly encourage everyone that is in the Boston area who has a loved one that needs help in terms of long term care and as a caregiver that you please research the website, call and speak to Miss Wendy, and she will be more than happy, or her partner and her staff will be happy to just talk with you and go over everything that they have to offer you.
Thank you. Yes. Happy to be a resource for people. Yeah.
Definitely. So, Miss Wendy, thank you so much again for agreeing to come on to Mama Mabel's Caregivers podcast. We sincerely appreciate it. I sincerely appreciate it. And until next time, podcast family,
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
thank you.